Why high functioning women often hit this wall in midlife. Christine Burke here. How are you going? It is a new week. I'm recording this on Monday, March 16th, and I hope everything is amazing in your midlife world. And I really hope this speaks to you today because I am talking to that woman who is experiencing the consequences of the overfunctioning. And I almost even don't like that phrase overfunctioning because it almost feels a little bit insulting in a way because, hey, we are here. We are managing families. We are managing emotional load. We are managing relationships. We are the doers of all things. And if you are watching this right now, there's a good chance that maybe you've been the ultra capable one in your entire life. You've been the one who has handled the logistics, right? The scheduler. How many women here watching this are like, I do all the things, the dental appointments, like the schools, the sign sheets, like all the things. You're the one who remembers everything. You are the head of the household. You are the emotional temperature regulator of everything that goes on. And people trust you, right? People have trusted you and your family. This becomes your normal. And so over time, subtle shifts start to happen, right? Not to mention the joys of menopause that, like I always say, you throw in menopause to the midlife equation. It makes things spicy. It makes things murky. It makes things really messy sometimes, right? And on top of that, you are this person who's carrying the emotional load. You're the one that has to hold it all together and, goodness me, don't fall apart. And so this is where, for a lot of us, what I call like hidden exhaustion exists. And so we are often in a constant state of what I call emotional leadership without realizing it. And this is why I think the conversation around nervous system regulation is such a huge thing right now in everything that's coming out about menopause, and why a lot of women gain weight at this stage and can't lose weight, why our businesses might feel like it's just all too hard. We're feeling overwhelmed a lot of the time, and it is because of this emotional labor. It's like the invisible management of everyone else's needs, right? And so people kind of assume you're fine, and hey, we're guilty of it sometimes too, just saying that we are fine. But this is a stage where everything changes. Relationships change. We experience the empty nesting. And the message here is that we can't just keep doing the things that we used to do. We can't just, keep pushing through in a way. A lot of women will say they feel dead inside. I'm familiar with this feeling. Or, I'm falling apart. Everything feels wrong. I'm just not as strong as I used to be. I'm not as smart as I used to be. I'm not as fast as I used to be. I went through a stage where I just kept saying to myself, you're not moving fast enough. You're not getting enough done. And this is where where a lot of people describe this as a midlife crisis. So I refuse to subscribe to that phrase. But we also hear the phrase, it's not a crisis, it's a reinvention. It's not a crisis, it's this. So for me, I like to describe this phase as, of course, not being a midlife crisis. This is a commissioning. And I truly believe that this is a commissioning from him onto our lives right now, that we are being called, we are being commissioned, in fact, to something greater. And that God has put us in this position, in this wilderness, so to speak, that is midlife and menopause, to prepare us for this commissioning that's coming next. This often feels like a wall or an abyss or what I call a void. To make it even more confusing, we were often rewarded all the time. Well, often, all the time. Often and maybe all the time rewarded for being needed. We were rewarded for being dependable, being the stabilizer. But here's the thing. There's a difference between being needed and being called. And midlife crisis, that moment, is often the difference between these two things. And it just becomes impossible to ignore this shift. It's the slap, it's the rub, whatever you want to call it. The cost, in a way, is this idea of over-functioning. But I don't have any regrets of, from doing what I did in my life. And I hope you don't either. By that, I mean being the mom, being the emotional carrier, because I know that God put me in this home for a reason. I know that he gave me that role for a reason. Right now, in this midlife transitioning, our body is looking for something new. Our spirit is looking for something new. He is looking to lead us into something new. And so it's not about less responsibility. It's about a different kind of leadership. So what's actually happening here is this void that I speak of, the space, right? The empty nesting, the shifting, the uncomfortable, because it's often uncomfortable, what's actually happening, I believe, is that we are experiencing a return of capacity. I love that word, capacity. And we all want capacity to do the things that we want to do, that he's calling us to do. So it's capacity to lead your body, capacity to lead your time, capacity to lead your voice, capacity to lead what I call the second act, capacity to lead in your business or entrepreneurial experience or bucket list or whatever that is for you right now. And so this is how the commissioning returns. And I really believe we need to start thinking about this as not as hitting a wall. It's not that we're hitting a crisis. It is a transition. It is an identity shift. It is a leadership drive. And it is, I believe, all about leadership. We need to start leading our lives in a different way. We need to start leading our lives in a way, if you're new to Christianity, for example, that he wants you to. And again, I believe that he's put this commissioning on our lives right now. And we are so well suited for this just to be the most beautiful transition ever. What does this actually look like? So what does actually leadership in your health look like? And this is an area that really gets me excited. I spent many years in the wellness space. I am a coach. I'm not a nutritionist or a dietitian or anything like that. I don't think you need to necessarily know everything about every single mineral on the planet to be able to help people lead their bodies through health. And what I mean by that is being able to grasp the idea, and this is especially relevant to women in midlife, that part of this transition, this leadership transition, comes down to us understanding how our habits have to change. Our habits have to change in midlife because our biology changes. It changes in a profound way. And leadership looks like us recognizing that, we're no longer going for the crop top. If that's you, like, all the more power to you. But I personally am changing the habits around my health leadership for strength, for energy, for vitality, so that I can carry groceries, so that I can carry grandchildren, so I can put my own suitcase up in the overhead bin when I'm on an airplane and I'm traveling. So it's also understanding that foundational habits are where it's at. Like, hey, if you want to go the GLP-1 route, great. I waited a long time before I started HRT for this very reason. And what I mean by fundamentals is fundamental habits of diet, movement, your spiritual life, your conversations with him, your mindset, we call it. How do you speak to yourself every day, resolving trauma, right? Dealing with your nervous system, being able to heal a lot of things in your life. Those are the basic fundamentals. That's what leadership in your body looks like. Leadership in your faith. I'm kind of new to this area. I'm a new Christian, pretty new. But to me, your leadership in your faith in midlife really looks like us creating a new set of anchors. It's really looking at anchoring to him, and it's anchoring to getting in the word every day. It's anchoring to surrounding yourself with other women who are also in faith. It's anchoring to a routine in the morning and the evening when you're actually having a relationship with our creator. Okay, very powerful. And then finally, leadership in your business, in your work environment, whatever that is. But what I do is help women in midlife who are entrepreneurs or network marketers, and they're looking to shift from running a business to creating a movement. And it's a really important distinction because creating movements are what the world needs right now. And the visibility can be a challenge for women in midlife. We are used to being quiet. We are used to maybe staying over on the sidelines, letting other people go first, all of this kind of thing. And I think it's time now where we can really open up a little bit, use our voices, use our wisdom. There's so many, just think, take a stock of all of the skills you have gleaned over the last 30 years. It's incredible when you think about it. I really challenge you to do this. I did it with a client the other day. I said to her, I want you to write down every single thing that you not only have done so that you can celebrate yourself, you can celebrate what God has done through you in your life, and so that you can see all of the skills and the wisdom that you have. And this is such an important part of visibility because we do have stories. We do have things to share. We do have wisdom. And gosh darn it, I do believe that the generations coming up behind us, they need They need us. They need our wisdom. They really do. And so when it comes to business and entrepreneurship, it's really about looking at how do you want to create your movement? Like, what does that look like for you? What is that shared message? What are you willing to say that other people just aren't willing to say? And there's a lot of that right now, because I really believe that, you have to stand for something. Otherwise, you will fall for everything. So that's a little bit of what leading in business looks like. And I do offer brand clarity calls if you are looking to just have somebody just check out your blind spots in a business, right? Because we all have blind spots, and that's what coaches are for. So you can find those details in the description box below. But if you're in this season right now, if you're feeling this rub, I want you to also know that I am running a 7-day leadership activation starting March 23rd. I'm going to be wrapping this up into a series here on YouTube, so you can look forward to that. But I really feel that, it is a time where women need to wake up, and there's no better phrase, I believe. There just is no better phrase for our leadership drive right now. And so I hope for you that looks exciting. I hope for you that you can recognize that you're not in a crisis, you're in a reawakening, you're in an identity shift. And I'm going to be sharing more and more as I go along here on YouTube about all of what's happening in our lives in terms of leadership and how we can actually express that leadership and really do some awesome things. So we'll see you next week.